Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to talk about the game Ready or Not. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, I'm going to dive right in. Ready or Not is not all that old, so this is kind of a revisit. I mean, they do have some expansion stuff that they've put out since I started playing, but all around, I just thought it would be fun to chat about it for a few minutes. This game is basically you're playing a SWAT team member and you go off on these calls. You've got missions where you can work with other players, or you've got AI characters that run around with you. You've got some psychotic AI villains that will pretty much sacrifice their lives for a few bucks and do a lot of other very strange things, but they're also pretty clever, and sometimes they do things that will surprise you, and occasionally they'll even comply. All around, the overall objective of the game is that you'll go into a scenario, say a convenience store or someone's home or whatever, and you will have various objectives. Generally, they are to preserve the civilians who are involved and take down the bad guys, either through arrest or, if you absolutely have to, blast them. In some cases, they just don't seem to care that they aren't really facing that big of a charge until they start shooting at you. But that's part of the game. Now, one of the things I like the most about it is that it is a more methodical game. You're not sprinting. It's not Call of Duty. You don't run around hopping over stuff. In fact, there isn't even a jump button. But it is a little bit more of a, I don't necessarily want to call it realistic, but it does have a grittier sense to it. It really does call back to games like Rainbow Six. Raven Guard, I think, is what the one I played was. There's a game a long time ago where my friends and I would do this thing called Terrorist Hunt. And basically, it populated a map with, say, 50 guys. You and your friends basically breached the structure, the building, wherever you were going, and you had to take all of them out. And it was hardcore in the sense that you could only take one or two shots before you were dead. If you took one, then you were much slower for the whole map. And if you took two, you were done. And there was friendly fire, so you had to actually be on comms. You'd work together. You'd clear the spaces. It was pretty fun all around. But it was something that I hadn't really seen another game come along and do it quite the same way and as fun. Even the newer Rainbow Six kind of screwed up in the sense that when it would spawn in the enemies, it didn't spawn them all. So you would end up fighting quite a few, and then they would spawn behind you. So rooms you had cleared would suddenly be full again, and you'd get blasted from behind. That wasn't quite as much fun. It was a little bit better when you had the illusion that the enemy was set up in a way, and then you had to actually hunt them down and find them. And I think that Ready or Not does a pretty good job because it is randomized. The enemies don't always appear in the same spot. There's not always the same type. The civilians are different. They react differently. They've got a lot to say. And it keeps it very dynamic. There's another game this is quite a bit like, and that would be SWAT 4, which just consequently, I happen to have my likeness in SWAT 4. That is another story. In fact, I'm just going to tell it now because why not? Ages ago, I happened to win a writing contest for Gabriel Knight, and I was allowed to go to Sierra Online so that we could meet the team and participate in a box art focus group for Gabriel Knight 3. And in the process, we showed up while they were doing a casting call for SWAT. And so the person I was with and I both hopped down there, and they took our pictures. And then I actually got a call back, and they came and took my photo from all directions. And I was one of the characters in the game, and I had a little photo in there. It is absolutely horribly pixelated now. So even if I can find it, it's like that's probably not you. But anyway, I promise it was me. It was cool. I even got a free copy of the game as a result. But knowing that, when I actually started playing this game, I had flashbacks to playing SWAT. My friend and I played SWAT quite a bit, had very similar setup. You go into a situation, you can arrest people, you can use non-lethal rounds, you've got all kinds of tools to get around, you can look under doors, make the doors open slowly. This game has all of that. You can pick locks, command your guys, send them around, you arrest people. Now, all around, I'd say that Ready or Not does it pretty well. There's some hinky stuff here and there. The AI does get in the way occasionally, and since there's collision detection, you kind of have to move all the way out of the door to get them to move and go in. I'm sure you could order them to move around, but I'm not that good at it. I did play the game enough before that I was fairly decent, but watching the footage here, you'd never know. I'm pretty awful. And being awful in this game can be very deadly. In fact, as I was playing this game, it made it quite clear that I do not have the nerves for this job because I had arrested a guy, or effectively secured him. You take even the civilians and handcuff them, and they end up on their knees. So I was roaming around, and somehow I got lost in that small convenience store because I'm an idiot, and I was semi-crouched when I opened one of the doors, and there is the civilian I had just arrested like 4 inches from me. And I just reacted and pulled the trigger and blew him away. And it was absolutely awful. And I lost that mission. I think one of my own guys shot me. I heard the person say, "You guys have permission to take down the team lead." I don't remember. But yeah, you do need to like have some situational awareness. Be a little bit calm. Go in there like a professional. It is very funny that you're playing this game where you're basically a SWAT officer. And, you know, quite often, as you'll watch in the footage, I just panic shoot. I've done much better in other versions when I've played this before. Like, I played with a couple of friends and we were like hardened professionals, like 1 and 2 shots, taking people down, calling the corners, doing all kinds of good stuff. And then I played today and it's just insane chaos factory. One of the things I did try when I was playing with other people that you might be curious about is that one time we had tried this mission like 6 times and we were not quite patient enough to pull it off. And that's really what this game requires, is a lot of patience. Since we didn't have the patience, I was like, guys, I'm just going to try something. I probably am going to go down. You guys can take care of the mission if you can. So I got my pistol and I just did a run and gun. Not that you can sprint or anything, but I just moved through the corridors, and if they weren't a civilian, I shot them and moved on. I wasn't yelling, I was just moving. I actually got really far. It was kind of surprising. Obviously not the preferred way to play the game and not how they intended it, but it is kind of funny. You do have the freedom to approach the maps from many different angles. You can try and go through the front door. You can pick the lock and go in. You can go around the back. You can always find different angles to approach the problem, and that's pretty cool. They offer a lot of different things that kind of score you, and at the end you get a grade. On my 2 attempts here, I did 2 different missions. One I failed, and then I did it again, and I got a C, and then the second time I got a C as well. So I think I would have gotten a slightly higher score on the second one if I could have arrested somebody, but I just couldn't find him, and the map was too big, and I just gave up. That's the other thing, is that if you don't even have the patience to wander around and find the guy, then Ready or Not really isn't a game you should be playing at that time. Like, I was apparently not in the mood to be methodical and think through the tactical decisions of being a SWAT officer, and as a result, it showed in my work. But that's just something to keep in mind. If this is the kind of game that even remotely interests you, if you've got a tendency to play other games, if you do play things like Call of Duty or Doom or whatever, Ready or Not's a very different experience. Sure, it holds the DNA of being a first-person shooter. It's just a different method of playing. It's a lot more Rainbow Six and a lot less Call of Duty. You're going to want to take your time, make sure you get through the maps with some care so that you're not blasting civilians or putting people in danger. There's a lot of customization, you know, plenty of different weapons and stuff. I honestly didn't really see too much reason to do it other than the aesthetics. I know that they probably have different variables, which are likely more beneficial or useful in the harder difficulties. So when you play on the hardest level, I'm sure that you'll find that changing out your load ups is going to help quite a bit. But on the standard or even the easiest difficulty, it hardly matters. You could probably do most of it with your pistol and pretend you're a patrol cop if you really wanted to. You do go down quickly. If you do start getting shot, you've got body armor. It does help, but you can lose your life very quickly in this game. So it's a little bit more hardcore in that way. But anyway, that's it for Ready or Not. What do you guys think? Have you played the game? Do you like it? Is it something that you'd recommend to other people? Or do you feel that there's problems with it? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk about it. This is Robert with Society Case Files, signing off.